Hello, TradingView community. Welcome to my new analysis about CFX Chevron Corporation on several time frame perspectives. And in my analysis, I am going to look at the current situation and what happened within the recent times because CFX is showing up with some important developments within this whole structure, and therefore I detected some very important developments going on within CFX. And with CFX, it has to be mentioned that CFX has shown up with this major uptrend, with this major bullish uptrend into the upper directions, and it also has established this main breakout into the new all-time high area. And with this, putting this into the perspective of the world stock market, it has to be mentioned that the oil stocks within the recent times, the oil and gas manufacturing stocks within the world stock market, are actually putting a major bullish perspective into the world stock market because they are almost adding up over 60% of the world stock rally seen within the recent times within major indices like S&P 500, the Dow and Nasdaq, and had they had the origin of a major stock rally within the market, and this is already a major bullish perspective and a major bullish fundamental. And now the question is if CFX as a sector stock within the oil and gas manufacturing market has actually the ability to continue with these major trend dynamics that it already established. And when looking at the origins here of this world rally, this rally started within the corona lows, within the supply rally, within the corona pandemic origins. And this was a major origin because from there on, CFX actually showed up with this huge volume and this huge volatility spikes into the upper direction right after this corona lows established. These corona lows pushed CFX to the downside, and from there on CFX actually rebounded and move it into some very important dynamics and show it up with some very bullish dynamics, with some very important dynamics here within this world structure. And from these origins, from these corona pandemic lows, which established within the corona pandemic, as the markets gone crazy and push it everything to the downside with a huge volatility and a huge actually crash within the market. And from there on, CFX showed up with these major developments and bounced several times within this main ascending trend line. And this was actually a major origin here for the wall structure, as from there on CFX bounced several times within this main uptrend. And this is actually a legit uptrend dynamic from where CFX bounced several times. And this dynamic is still holding on. And now it has to be mentioned that CFX is actually bouncing a fourth time within this major ascending trend line. And now it is a question of how CFX actually holds within this ascending trend line, because when CFX holds here within this ascending trend line, from there on, this can actually move into some further developments. And when looking at this world dynamic on the local time frame perspectives, it has to be mentioned that from the local time frame perspective, CFX is now holding above these major supports, above this 140 to 150 level, which is already a major support within the wall structure, above which CFX is now holding. And this is actually a major support here for CFX building up within this wall structure. And above this support, CFX is actually building this main wedge formation structure, and such a wedge formation structure actually has the ability to form a major breakout sooner or later. And it has to be mentioned that CFX is already building up here above these main supports, above the 140 to 150 area, and now it is only a question of time till the final breakout above the upper boundary is setting up. And in this case, a major target determination can be projected onto the breakout area. And in this case, a major target will be postponed from the small breakout into the breakout area. And in this case, the target zone will be above the 320 area, and determining the momentum within this case. If CFX holds on with strong momentum and builds up a major momentum above this dynamics, this can also add up to the whole big picture within the whole structure, because when looking at this whole dynamic on the monthly time frame perspective, it has to be mentioned that CFX is now holding up above these main supports within this whole structure. And in this case, CFX is also building up here a major formation structure and a major support here. And when looking at this whole dynamic, CFX also has this main ascending trend line, this upper boundary of this huge broadening wedge formation. And as I already mentioned it within previous analysis updates here on TradingView, I mentioned that such a broadening wedge formation is actually a major confirmational formation that actually has the potential to move into a major trend dynamic. And when looking at this whole structure here, CFX is building up above this upper boundary here of this whole broadening wedge formation. And in this case, it has to be mentioned that CFX actually has this main trend dynamic from where it actually has the potential to continue into further dynamics and show up with further potential expansions, potentials, and especially when looking at this whole dynamic on the local time frame perspectives. Once CFX has completed this whole wedge formational structure on the local time frame perspectives, and it finally shows up with the final breakout within the local time frame perspectives, this will also add up to this huge bigger picture global perspective, to this huge broadening wedge perspective. And in this case, this broadening wedge perspective can be also projected onto the breakout areas. And in this case, CFX actually has the potentials to move on further. And in this case, targets above 400 will be very likely for CFX for this whole dynamic. And now these dynamics should be considered within the next times. These are some very likely perspectives. It could be also that there are changes within the market interface, that the market changes again, that there are some changes within the oil production, within the oil and gas manufacturing, or within the whole stock market. However, at the moment, all the signs are pointing to this continuation dynamic, to this major breakout dynamic to show up within the next times. And therefore, if there are changes within the market, I am going to look at them within the data dashboard and compare them with the whole market interface and how the market develops at the moment and in the next times. And therefore, when there are changes, I am going to look at them and see how it develops. And with this being said, it will be great when you support my project further with a like, follow, and comment. And with this being said, it will be greatly appreciated when you support this. And therefore, it will be a very interesting development with CFX to continue within the next times, especially with this full formational dynamic and the current dynamics within the market. And with this being said, bye bye.